Are we up and running?
Yep, we're running, but I wasn't recording. Sorry about that.
Okay. Okay. Any questions, commission members? So I guess procedurally, David, should we have approved the amendment to the agenda before we make a motion to approve the recommendation from the office?
Yes.
Okay. So let's back up, and I'm going to ask for a motion to approve an amendment to the agenda.
So moved.
Okay. Motion by Dana Richmond. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Travis Lemaster. Okay. For the sake of time, we'll say all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, that motion carries to amend the agenda. So considering Todd's review of the interview process, I would entertain a motion to approve the recommendation coming from the APC office in regard to Randy York serving as our code enforcement officer beginning May 19th. I have a motion for that.
So moved.
I have a motion from Jerry Cottle to approve that recommendation. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Karen Pullen. Again, for the sake of time, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, motion carries. Opportunity to catch up. Good?
Good.
All right. All right, moving to item 3, approval of the minutes. Please take a look at the April 7th, 2025 regular meeting minutes. Any errors or corrections that need to be made?
Maybe it's my understanding, but misunderstanding. Isn't it a public hearing, not a public meeting?
Right.
Yes.
And it's listed at both at the top and at the bottom as a public meeting. I think that was maybe a typo on the agenda or something, but just to make sure it's clear that it was a public hearing, especially since those are so important.
Okay.
That would be both the title and in part 5, bullet 5 of the public hearing minutes.
So do we want those changed?
Please.
Again, one more time, where are those?
It's in the title. It says public meeting minutes. I think it should
Okay.
say public hearing minutes.
Okay.
And then in point 5, so there being no further business, the Area Plan Commission public hearing concluded and transitioned directly.
Okay. May I make a comment?
Yes, please.
So I looked up procedure, and so we can have a meeting and then have the public hearings within the meeting instead of having 2 completely different meeting minutes. I think that makes it more streamlined, so we'll have our meetings and our meeting minutes, but then we can have the public hearings within those.
Right.
Does that work with everybody?
That's what we've been done in the past.
Yeah, as I understood it in the past, they were separate, and that's why it started out that way.
I don't know that we ever had separate minutes for public hearings. I think.
That's what he's saying. It was a misunderstanding.
Sure.
That's why they're separate.
Right.
Okay.
We'll get this train running.
We will. Okay, any other comments about the minutes for April 7th? Hearing none, I would approve a motion to approve public hearing minutes for April 7th.
So moved.
Motion from Jerry Cottle to approve the public hearing minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Clayton Schultz. Again, for the sake of time, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, moving to the April 7th regular minutes. I guess I got those turned around, but I think we know what we're doing. Got a microphone on.
Is that me? That might be me.
Are you ready for a motion?
Yes, any comments or corrections to the April 7th regular meeting minutes? I'd entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
A motion from Josh Courtney to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from John Pearson. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Okay. We will move on to item 4, new business. 4.1, we will open the public hearing for a zoning change of Ag to Industrial 1, docket number 004-25. As indicated, Mr. Yancey has provided some detailed information related to that, but I'm going to let him share his thoughts.
Okay, if we just go through at the end, I have some director comments. We have a petition by James Cruz requesting a zoning map amendment for a 2.6 acre parcel currently zoned agriculture to light industrial. The property is located near the edge of the town of Swayze, adjacent to a residential parcel of 1.4 acres and touching a general business district at one corner. So 2 corners touching each other. The petitioner proposes to expand an existing food production operation on the site. Plans include remodeling the existing structure, building storage barns, continuing limited production activities. Truck traffic is expected to be minimal, and the petitioner has indicated that noise, dust, emissions impacts will be limited. Some new job creation is anticipated, although specific numbers are not provided. In considering this request, the commission should apply to review factors listed in Indiana Code 3674-603, giving reasonable regard to the comprehensive plan, the current conditions and character of the area, the most desirable use of the land, conservation of property values throughout the jurisdiction, and responsible development growth. So my recommendations is the petitioner seeks to rezone this parcel to allow that expansion for his company. And point 2 is the surrounding zoning and land use, adjacent uses is a single family home, and also is very close to some other general business. Character of the area is predominantly agriculture and low-density residential, transitioning towards commercial and general business. So on point 3, comprehensive plan, the proposed industrial use near Swayze Edge aligns with reasonable growth objectives. And the comprehensive plan piece, we're right at the beginning of, or right at the end of a new one. And at that point, I'll be able to incorporate that in a better format. Current conditions and characters, mixture of agriculture and limited commercial nearby. Light industrial may be appropriate if impacts are managed. The most desirable uses of food production is a relatively low impact industrial use compared to other potential industrial 1 uses. Property values, impacts to the nearby residential property can be minimized with appropriate site design, screening, and operational controls. responsible development growth. The project supports job creation and localized economic activity without requiring significant new infrastructure. It says staff. I didn't know if you like staff or it's just kind of me, but I feel like it ought to be staff. We'll go back and forth on that a little bit, but we find that the requested rezoning to Industrial 1 is reasonably consistent with the responsible growth patterns if efforts are made to mitigate impacts to the adjacent residential property, which comes to 4 conditions, and this is up to you. Just my recommendation is the installation of appropriate landscaping or fencing along the boundary adjacent to the residential parcel to screen activities, limitation of outdoor storage to screened areas only. Truck traffic associated with the site shall use designated routes suitable for industrial vehicles, avoiding residential streets if possible. And that would come to, the town, the town would put that into play, right?
So Sweetser would be number 3.
Yeah, designating the routes.
Swayze, you mean?
And then the last point I have is the hours of operation for outdoor activities, construction, loading, unloading should be limited between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. to minimize disruption to the neighbors. Mm-hmm. And we have the owner online.
Yep. With that being said, we will open the public hearing for the petitioner input.
Go ahead.
You've got the floor, sir.
Okay, what would you like to know?
Tell us your story.
We are the owners of the Market at Swayze, which is food production. It's a food processing plant, which is currently downtown in Swayze, called Swayze Loins. They mass produce hand-breaded tenderloins, 4 different sizes, 3 different flavors. And the growth that we've incurred over the past 2 years has just pushed us out of that space. So when this land became available, we wanted to take the opportunity to expand our operations. And we plan on building a state-of-the-art food processing plant there that will help, grow the business over the next 10 to 15 years.
Okay. I think we lost him. Are you still there, James?
Yes, I am.
Okay, your picture dropped. There you go.
Okay. Questions? Commission members? Yes, Mr. Barrett.
Will his expansion in the next 10 years still be underneath the light industry? Isn't that what you're going for?
Yeah, it would always remain a light industry. We're not a slaughterhouse. We're just food production, federally inspected by the USDA. So it would always be under light, industrial. I don't know what would, determine whether it was, heavy industrial. Probably that would have to be defined by someone else.
I didn't.
If it was to be anything other than that, it's my understanding, Raymond, that he would have to come back and have that approved to be anything other than what we're going to recommend or choose to act on tonight.
I mean, if he was definite plans to increase to the next level of zoning, why go to the L1 if he needs an L2?
Correct. Okay, I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, why hesitate on the jump to the next one? And I'm not educated on the different zones, so that's new to me. I'm not learning as that goes. So, and then go ahead.
I don't ever see it being anything more than light industrial.
To me, it should be a special exception instead of a rezone. How come you didn't go that route?
Okay.
Do that.
Any other questions, commission members, to the petitioner? Travis, I want to apologize. This is Swayze, no Sweet.
I understood.
I caught that.
Yeah.
So. Any other questions? Okay, we will end that part of it, and we will move to any community members here in opposition or would like to express concerns in regard to this request.
There aren't any now. That's.
Okay.
Just recommending a minute.
Hearing none. James, we would give you the opportunity to share anything else that you would like to share with us before we move forward.
No, I think, I covered all the bases.
Okay. That being said, we'll close the public hearing. And then commission members, I think something that is new for us, at least while I've been here, is whether we want to give consideration to the commitments or conditions that have been noted in the director's information. Because if we were to consider those, that would need to be included in the motion that we would make. And here again, we would either go with a favorable recommendation, an unfavorable recommendation, or no recommendation that would be forwarded to the commissioners. Here. Thoughts or discussion?
They all seem reasonable. I think 3 and 4 might be hard for us to police. I mean, I could see pretty easily a building inspector going out and seeing if 1 or 2 were being followed. Like you said, 3 is kind of more the town of Swayze, and 4, I guess we could hear complaints, but our inspectors probably won't be out there between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. I'd like to make things as simple as possible, but I'm also not wholeheartedly against 3 and 4 either.
My comment on number 3 is that it's right on the highway. Trucks shouldn't have to be going through town. They should go right down the highway to it.
Correct.
Should be no need for number 3. Nothing against you, Todd.
Not well. No, I'm fine.
James, are you?
I'm just throwing ideas out there, beat them up. That's what you're about.
What's that?
James, are you aware of the conditions that have been stated?
Yes, I'm aware of it. And I think we might want to note too that this property is not within the city limits of Swayze.
That raises the question, what about septic and water? Where's it coming from? Where's it go?
The water and the sewage is hooked up to the city because it's adjacent to that property. So when the current tenant built the building, they were allowed to use city water and city sewer.
This was a
So
church.
it's already got those amenities there.
Okay.
Mr. President, I'm out for some comments.
Please.
I don't think 3 and 4 are appropriate anyway, as I'm sure you're aware. These are, in fact, very unusual to have commitments on zoning amendments. For special exceptions, it's normal, but for zoning amendment, it's rare, and I'm not sure it's ever been done. So I don't even think 3 and 4 need to be even considered because as someone pointed out, it's a state highway anyway, so truck traffic is going to be on a state highway going in and out. hours of activity, or I don't think that's warranted in this situation either. The outside storage, I guess I would be curious if Mr. Crew even needs outside storage, if that's even something he plans on doing. And then when you look at number one, installation of appropriate landscaping or fencing along the boundary, I'm just looking at the overview, there's a pretty heavy tree line there. I would be curious if the neighbor would even want a fence there. I don't know if that's really even necessary either. So, do you mind if I ask him a question?
Sure.
Mr. Crewy, are you going to be using outside storage?
I mean, the storage we would be using outside would be limited to like wooden pallets. You know, there would be vehicles there, but there would not be anything that would be stored overnight like that. The USDA's got some pretty strict guidelines on, you know, what you can have around your building, up to your building, and next to your building. So we're kind of under their guidelines, which we already accompany those now at our location now. So
So
I don't see
you said
any
vehicles,
outdoor
those,
storage.
so vehicles will just be in parking spots, right?
Correct.
And outside storage, if anything, would be pallets, and those would be used frequently?
Yes, that's how we ship the product. Yes, we'd just be using those for shipping.
Okay.
Yes.
So you don't even anticipate any other outside storage?
No, I do not.
And have you talked to your neighbor at all, the residential on the south side of your property?
I have not spoken with him. I mean, we've waved a couple times in passing. I mean, he's aware of what we want to do, from what I've heard through the grapevine, and he really has no issue with it. It's not going to be something that's going to really affect his lifestyle or outdoor activities or anything he's going to be doing. I mean, our current operations run from 7 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon, and we look for those hours to remain the same. Give or take maybe a Saturday or some overtime hours, and then we're closed on Saturday and Sunday. So,
And it looks like in the picture that we have, the overview, that there's a pretty heavy tree line between your two properties anyway. Is that still correct?
yes, there's about, I don't know, 6 or 7 trees right there, maybe 7, maybe 8. And his house sits a good distance off of his property line. Although behind his house, we own that all the way over to Dollar General's property, which is adjacent. That's on the other side of this property. We got Dollar General on one side and we're on the other.
How many years have you been in operation, sir?
We incorporated in 2011. So what, 14 years? It'll be 14 in November.
Any other questions,
Currently have
commission
about
members?
20. Oh, go ahead.
Questions?
Just one, if there is a problem with water or sewage, what happens then? I mean, he's getting that from the neighbor, right?
No, it's a Swayze account.
Oh, okay,
It's a Swayze account.
all right. So you'd be dealing with the town. Okay.
For both water and sewage, correct?
Okay.
Water and sewage are
correct.
both municipal,
Both,
correct?
yes, correct. Both, they're both correct, yes.
Okay.
I guess the question becomes, if we make a motion, if we want to consider some conditions or commitments, if we want to follow maybe Mr. Glickfield's suggestions on things seem to be good, and we would just make a motion to recommend, not recommend, or as it's presented. I'm ready, Josh, for a motion.
I'll make a motion for favorable without any of the conditions in light of what Mr. Glickfield has informed us of.
Second.
Got a motion from Josh Courtney for a favorable recommendation without conditions or commitments. And a second by Clayton Schultz. Let's do a roll call vote on this.
Randy Atkins,
Yes.
Raymond Bear,
Yes.
Jerry Cadell,
Yes.
Josh Courtney,
Yes.
Frank Hicks,
Yes.
Travis Lemaster,
Yes.
John Pearson,
Yes.
Karen Poland,
Yes.
Diana Richmond,
Yes.
Clayton Schultz.
Yes.
Motion carries. Sounds good. Mr. Cruz, look forward to working with you.
Hey, thank you guys very much. Feel free to stop by out there anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay. All right, we will move to new business item 4-2, public hearing for zoning change from residential 3 to industrial 1, docket number 005-25. Mr. Glancy, please.
Petition by Mr. Harris, who's here with us tonight, is requesting a zoning map amendment for a parcel located at 3520 South Central Avenue, Marion, Indiana. Currently zoned residential 3. The request is to rezone the parcel to a light industrial 1. The property contains a small deteriorated pre-1900 home, which the petitioner intends to demolish, and an existing pole barn style storage building similar to a 2-car garage. There's no septic on the site, and there is an existing well. No restroom facilities are planned. The petitioner intends to construct additional enclosed storage buildings for business equipment. The R3 zoned area surrounding the parcel is relatively limited, and that's why I put the really high level map at the very back, and the circle, I circled it with a Sharpie there in the middle, and the blue area, the blue outline is the parcel we're talking about. There's notably there's a 8-acre I3 zone parcel, lies just 132 feet from the subject site. And a 128-acre industrial 3 zone parcel is located across the street approximately a block away. This site is situated between a railroad corridor to the west and the Minnesota River to the east, adding physical buffers to both sides. The I-Industrial 1 zoning standard provides Mr. Harris the ability to have up to 75% of the lot coverage with buildings. This is an increase from the 35% limit under an R3, which it is currently now. And the same considerations that we had before. And maybe putting in conditions, maybe that wasn't quite the right word. Maybe it should be discussion topics, right? Thinking about what we thought about with the last docket. So the demolition of the house be completed with 1 year of building the new structures. And I've discussed this all with Mr. Harris, and he's good with all these particular items. All equipment must be stored within the enclosed buildings or in a designated screened outdoor area, and I believe he'll address that. But this is not going to be a mini warehouse or public storage use type of facility. It's going to be a business-to-business storage. And the last point was access, servicing, and drainage review will be required during the site plan review. And so that will really be reviewed when he gets a building permit. I think it'd be better to have these as discussion points instead of conditions.
Yeah.
Because I like the discussion. You guys had a good discussion on the last Okay.
Any questions to Todd, commission members, before we move into the public hearing?
Was the map cleared back? Okay.
I'm just curious, and I'm probably too late, we can't change it, but is there a reason we're going I-1 instead of I-3? If, to me, the biggest reason why it's supported is because there's so much I-3 around. Why not just I-3? Is that more restrictive or?
Well, there is still some residential use around there, right? And so you just start, and if you look at the map, I mean, it's not very pretty what's going on one of the smaller of the I3 sites. And to just kind of expand that when you still have some residents living in the area, I just thought it was a good transition. So that just, you know, we all have our opinions, but the board has the final say.
It's my understanding that
Could we change that now to, if we wanted to change the zone
You'd have to send out notices.
notices again?
Start
Okay.
over,
Not worth
you have
that.
to give notice.
It's my understanding that if this recommendation passes through the commissioners, that it holds only to this individual that's requested it, that in the event that he would sell the property, that this would not follow the next owner?
I thought that was just a special exception.
No, this would be that property until somebody changed it again.
Okay.
That's my understanding.
That's correct.
And that would fall whether it was I-3 or I-1? Okay, all right. I'm getting BZA then confused with APC. Okay. Yes.
Is there restrictions more on the R3 or the I3 versus an I1 for the surrounding houses that are left? Or if one of the surrounding houses wanted to remodel or rebuild, or does it make a difference whether it's against the I3 or an I1? As far as what can be built against an I3 versus an I1?
I don't know that I can answer that. We'll see if someone else can.
I think his point was that I-1 is seen as more house-friendly. I-3 is like, as the numbers get higher, it's kind of like heavier industry.
Yeah.
So I-1 is kind of the most friendly to neighbors for houses. Yeah.
Are there any houses between the pink and the blue dot or the blue square? The other houses are across the road, aren't they, Todd?
Right.
I mean, either direction, they gotta go across the main road or across the road to the south. I just, with what Clayton was saying, I mean, that little encompassed area there, I don't think there's any more houses to be affected by a R3 versus an R1, or I1 or I3.
There's residents here, right here, and here, there's three right around it right there.
Yeah.
On that picture, I can see, like behind and to the one end and across the street, so there's three of them, just what I can see.
I think there's like a ring of exactly one house in every direction. So,
Or small houses.
yeah, I can see the argument for just I-1 as kind of a transition.
Okay.
So I go back to the I1 too.
Yeah, it's right behind it.
Is the I3 the top of the I, and an I4? Or is 3 the highest?
Three's, I think, the highest, yeah.
Okay. So you have to have banging and slamming and whatever.
Time industrial. Other discussion, commission members, before we open the public hearing? All right, we will invite you, sir, to come to the podium and
Hello, everyone. My name is Brian Harris, basically, and already have the information we're kind of looking at here. So I bought a piece of property basically that had a new small garage, pole barn, whatever you want to call it. And the couple I bought it from, they were planning on building a new house on this piece of property, which is why they put in a new well and built that little barn. And then he passed away. So I ended up just buying a piece of property from her, started using the little barn thing for my business, basically. But as I've started to try to figure out what to do with the house that should be bulldozed, that's been the struggle all along. Looking at your regulations, obviously, it says you have to build a house basically before you can build a pole barn. Well, I kind of have a house, but I really need to tear it down. So we've been trying to figure out back and forth of what we can actually do. And Mr. Glancy has been really good at trying to work with me to figure out what it would actually need. We talked about in, was it an I-3 or an I-1? Well, the I-3 across the street, I know you'd asked about basically. I chased his cows back in there the other day. So they got cows in there. I don't want to have cows or anything like that. I'm just looking for some pole barns without a house. So the house was built like in 1890. There is no septic tank or anything like that on this piece of property. From what I've been told, it probably has a tile that goes down to that river down there. So the struggle's been is what to actually use this piece of property, because myself, if I had to tear the house down and basically build a new house, I mean, one of my companies is a general contracting company, basically. I build houses. So I've tried to figure out what it would cost to build a house, basically. So with what I actually have in the property, what I would have to have to build the home, if I looked at, doing all that just to sell it, basically, the neighborhood houses are nowhere near that value of what it would take to do something of that nature. So we looked at, okay, what can we do next? So the answer is we came up with the I-1 because it was a little bit more, as you said, user-friendly, basically, to the neighbors and what I want to do. And so, right now what I'm actually looking at trying to do is put a large pole barn across the back of the property itself, not totally against the back wall, but back far enough basically where I already have a wooden fence across the whole back and down the right-hand side, try to help block out the neighbors. We have a church, well, at least used to be a church on the left-hand side of the property. I'll give you a better what I'm looking at here. So this is the house we want to tear down. And this is a church. This is that actual little shop that belongs right now, a little garage. And this is where I'd like to put in another garage at right here. So I've got a fence coming down this way, the fence coming down this way. And it's our intentions to, in the future, put a fence down here, probably fence it all the way across the front, if that's feasible to even do so. So that's where we're actually at as far as our intentions are. The property itself, what I plan on using this pole barn for, basically, there's going to be 5 doors in a 100-foot long building, basically. So it's to be able to put the skid loader, the tractor, and building materials and stuff of that nature, basically. So that nothing is really sitting outside. If it is sitting outside, it'd be behind the building, between the building and the actual fence out back. And mostly that would be like trailers or something of that nature, or possibly wood, construction lumber. And that's kind of where I'm at. Any questions?
Questions, commission members? Your intent is to fence the entire property would be for security?
Part of that security, part of it just to keep it more private, I guess,
Is the positioning of your new pole barn because of the position of the current house?
Nothing to do with the house, really, basically. I was just going to line it up with that other one that's in the back right there right now.
And from the way this reads, you got to put up the pole barn before you can tear down the house? Is that what?
I was going to put up the pole barn so that the stuff I have sitting in that house right now could be put in the pole barn. So the answer is, no matter what, I want to tear the house down, basically. That house is costing me about $130 a month in insurance for it to sit there just to have liability insurance on it. So it's not in my benefit to keep that house.
No, my question was stemming off of this condition one where it says to demolish the house a year, the building, within a year of the building's new construction, which reads to me you gotta put up the building before you can tear down the house.
Well, the reason why he did that basically is I asked him if, originally we had talked about bulldozing the house, first thing basically. But I said, could I build it and
With it
basically.
being residential,
What's that?
with it being residential as it is now, or with the light industrial?
With the light industrial is what we're actually going for.
I was just making sure you weren't waiting to tear down the house that you were gonna do anyways, just to keep the house up, to put up a pole barn.
That's if it stays as a residential, he would have to do the house first, right?
Yeah.
So.
Okay,
that's why
so
he's
by
going-
changing-
That's why he's going to one,
Okay,
yeah, so
Okay.
he can inherit it.
you understand where I was going. Okay.
How tall is it gonna be? Like, how big are the doors? Is it gonna be a massive structure standing?
The unit itself basically is going to be 30 foot deep, 100 foot long, and 12 foot tall.
Or just a small garage for storage, not a big, massive two-story barn.
So,
Other questions for Brian, commission members? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Tim. And ladies. Appreciate it.
Okay, anybody from the public would like to speak in opposition or in concern of this request? By Brian Harris. Okay, hearing none. We will close the public hearing. And commission members, any discussion that you'd like to take place?
Mr. Whitfield, you got any comments on the conditions on this one?
I do. I'm not a big fan of the path that this is taken because this, although there is I-3 in the area, it's spot zoning. And I say spot zoning because it appears from the map that I'm seeing that there's no I-3 that touches this property. Spot zoning is generally frowned upon. It seems to be, and I wish I had my land use table with me, that a special exception would accomplish the same thing, and then the conditions could easily be attached to that. So there is I-3 in the area, so if you wanted to change the zoning, you're gonna have a little purple surrounded by residential. And generally that's frowned on in the development world, zoning world. So that's why I thought maybe the special exception might be the way to go. I'm sure there's got to be, what he's wanting to do would be if it's not allowed use for a special exception, I'm sure he could get some kind of other use exception potentially for it, but I would bet that it would qualify as a special exception. And what he's trying to do, and then you don't have to go through the whole situation of amending the zoning map, and then he has to go to the commissioners and get their approval for it, because I would think their attorney's probably gonna tell them that this is spot zoning and it's maybe not the best way to go about doing things. It can be done if you want to give it a favorable recommendation, but to me, it seems there's more efficient ways to do it. If that helps.
So he'd have to file and do another public hearing to do that?
Unfortunately, it'd be in front of the BZA, yes, not the APC, because he's done it as a zoning amendment as opposed to a special exception.
And will that special exception follow the property? Say he wants to sell it, or is it?
That is under a different set of rules, and conditions can be put on there to limit that type of use in a special exception, which I don't believe can be done. I'm almost positive it can't be done in a zoning amendment. Because if I were one of those houses in that area and he's given basically an I-3 or light industrial and there's other uses that he freely could go in there and do as long as they're in the land use table, and that might add distraction to the people who do live there, then, or someone who acquires it after him even, and they just said, well, I want to do this. This does fall into I-3. It's just one of the reasons why spot zoning generally is not considered a great idea.
Okay.
I hate to delay this, gentlemen, but there's a lot more control that can be had if it goes the other route to protect the neighbors.
So I know that we've got a BZA meeting coming up in a couple weeks, correct?
The 19th.
The 19th. Is it possible this could shift? Would we meet timelines to be able to shift this?
It'd be really tight.
Like would have to happen tomorrow?
Yeah.
Could it meet it tomorrow?
It's the newspaper piece that I'm concerned about.
I already sent that out.
Yeah.
14 days?
Well, no, it's the email communication that we're having.
Yeah.
Sometimes that takes us a couple of days to get, oh, this is what you want. We've had that issue. And if we're delayed a few days, then we can't make the 10-day. But, I mean, whether you're talking about 2 weeks or not, we're talking, what David's bringing up, his points are long-term, way past when we're all gone, right?
Yep. And he's still gonna have to go to the commissioners anyway before anything can be done. So that's yet another meeting and advertisement that has to take place. So frankly, it's still not any quicker to go the special exception route than finish out this process for him.
You mind, Mr. President? I guess I'm surprised. I mean, it'd be great if that could be a special exception. I guess I thought it was pretty restricted on what you could get a special exception on. Certain setbacks, certain land, like uses in the table, things like percent coverage can be special
Well,
exception.
you just use tables what we're talking about.
But I thought percentage coverage was the concern, not as much use. And also, like they said, if it didn't follow the next property owner, like, would I have to get a special exception just to buy it because he built a pole barn on it? And I don't know. I mean,
No, you can get you can get an exception for the coverage.
You can't
or a variance, yes. That can be done through the BZA.
And then also it'd have to have a variance that it does not have a home on. Because it's R3, you have to have a home, right? I believe that's the other stipulation.
Yeah, I should have brought my zoning tables with me. I don't have them, so I don't want to answer that without having it in front
You
of me.
have to have, I'm pretty sure. You have to
I
have
don't
a home.
dispute that, yeah, it makes sense.
In R3.
And I guess I anticipated that objection, which is why I brought about the I-3, since that's what's surrounding. But you're right, the bordering areas make it complicated. I'd almost make the argument that it's seeing there's so much I-3 and there's spots of ag, it seems to me that the residential is the part that doesn't really seem to make sense between the river basin and the railroad track. It looks like a lot of this area is industrial use. And yeah, we want to protect the rights of the neighbors in that area, but I hate to be bound by previous, I don't want to say zoning that maybe was spot zoning to begin with. I don't know.
Those are old houses. They've been there a long time.
Yeah, that's not an area that's gonna be developed very quickly, I wouldn't think, with homes. With homes.
And with so many acreage of I-3 within 200 feet of your house, is an additional lot of I-1 really going to change the character of the neighborhood? I guess,
So, and you guys absolutely have the right. It's not a flagrant spot zoning. You have the right if you want to do it, to approve it. But I'm pointing this out because what this gentleman wants to do might be perfectly fine. But then he wants, he sells the property 20 years from now and somebody wants to use a different I-3 use that might be much more intrusive to the neighbors than what he wants to do. That's when the problems would arise. That's all. I'm just pointing that out.
yeah.
That's all I'm trying to do.
With I-1, wouldn't he be able to put a food processing plant on it, right now, if it was I-1?
Yeah.
So he could still do light industrial
He
things.
could
even though
have
he's
some
not
manufacturing
wanting
on it,
to.
yeah.
And there would be no restrictions.
Mhm.
And he says he wants to build a barn. The next owner wants to come in there and use that barn for another meeting, and
And that's why I didn't think about going to I-3. It still kind of limits it to real light manufacturing. And then, we thought about the special exceptions and we thought about different ways in which we could make it work even as an R3. And, then you're just trying to pretzel everything, right? Well, you could build a barnuminium and you have to put in a septic system or not, and just let that, there's ways in which you get around it. It just seems like you're twisting a lot of things to me, and this seemed very straightforward, but experience will tell.
I guess in the long run, if I were making a comprehensive plan for this area, or if we were talking about it, to me, with as old as the houses are and as much I-3 is around, it looks like 100 years from now, this is gonna be an industrial area, not a residential area. And so if we start with this piece, as buildings get demolished or better uses come up, I don't know that it's, like he said, maybe it's spot zoning, not the most flagrant use. We probably should just vote on it at some point. If it's voted down, it's voted down, or I don't know.
What's the actual physical size of this lot? How many, is it in acres? Mr. Harris?
It's in here somewhere.
0.65.
It's a little less than 3/4 of an acre.
A little
0.65.
less than 3/4 of an acre.
0.65.
I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of industrial development on less than 3/4 of an acre in the future.
You ready for a motion, Mr.
Who's that?
Someone's hands up.
Brandon, it's Ed Harvey.
Yes, Ed.
I have
You have the floor.
land use in front of me. And if this property were zoned, you could do a special exception. Otherwise, you cannot. The land use table for contractors, storage, building, or yard is special exception in ag zone only. It is permitted in general business through I-3. Otherwise, it is not permitted.
so as an R3, he can't get a special exception.
R3, you can't get a special exception. You could make it an ag zone, I suppose, if ag is right nearby. And then apply for a special exception.
I can tell you for sure, he's got them, obviously.
So, what are you telling us, Ed?
I'm telling you that you can't get a special exception zoned residential for a contractor's yard, but he could if it was zoned agriculture. And if there's agriculture around it, maybe that makes sense
It's not
to
touching
do a
it.
zone change to agriculture. But then that's going to take a while to get all that done.
It's a rezone or nothing. There's no BZA.
Yeah, so you can't store construction equipment on an I-1 or L1, I-1?
Yes, you can.
On an R3,
I-1.
you can't.
Yeah.
On our
R3,
I-1,
you
you
can.
can't.
General
Or-
business through I-3, you can.
So he's
By
wanting an
right.
I-1. He's wanting an I-1 and you can get the exception for an I-1.
You don't need an exception to I-1, you do it by right.
All right. okay.
What Mr. Whitfield was saying, maybe keep it R3 and get an exception. Well, Mr. Hartman's saying we can't get an exception if it's R3. We have to rezone it to an industrial or to agriculture.
With the use that he's wanting to use it for.
He's got I don't have my land use tables. Obviously Ed does, so I couldn't say for sure whether a special exception would work or not. Ed obviously has them, but it sounds like it wouldn't, so.
I'll put that, this is a very good learning experience. I'll put those pieces in next time.
Thank you, Ed.
Thanks, Ed.
Welcome. Thank you.
Now, there is the other option, right? Which is we take no action, and I'm just trying to be straight up and fair and honest, and then Mr. Harris, right, has to sell the land and buy another piece of property to do what he wants to do. I mean, that is the other option, is we take no action.
Then the APC will have to demolish the building.
Exactly.
I like it when people demolish old buildings.
Okay, other questions, commission members? Okay. I would entertain a motion from the commission.
I move we make a favorable approval to rezone to I-1.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion from Clayton Soltz as a favorable recommendation to move R3 to I-1.
Was it Clayton?
Clayton.
Okay.
Have a second of that motion from Josh Courtney. Discussion, commission members?
Were all the neighbors notified of the hearing that this was getting changed?
Yes.
Okay.
By certified mail and signed posting, correct?
And no one complained?
No.
Other comments or questions, commission members? Hearing none, roll call.
Randy Atkins,
Yes.
Raymond Bear,
Yes.
Jerry Cadell,
Yes.
Josh Courtney,
Yes.
Frank Hicks,
Yes.
Travis Lemaster,
Yes.
John Pearson,
No.
Karen Poland,
I commend you for your help.
Dana Richmond,
Abstain.
Clayton Schultz,
Yes.
eight
Have enough?
yeses.
Motion carries. You're good, Mr. Harris?
Well,
Well, once it's the commissioners.
Yeah.
Once it gets past
Yeah.
from us, anyway.
Step one.
And that motion was without conditions. Correct? Correct. Amendments. This has been an interesting meeting, gentlemen, ladies. Okay, that concludes our public hearing for item number 4. We're going to move to item 5, old business. 5.1, flood damage prevention ordinance, docket 003-25. Mr. Glancy.
we need to pass this. It was passed last year. I didn't make it through the process through the commissioners. I thought I could just bring it here, but it needs a public hearing. So I didn't get the ads out and so on in time. So we will do that at the next meeting.
June.
Yes. And the same thing for 5.2.
Okay. for the sake of knowledge, let's review that process as to why we're revisiting these items again.
So the process is we vote here, make an
We have a
ordinance
public hearing.
change. This is for ordinance change.
So we advertise
Jump
for,
right in there. Tell me where I'm.
So far.
Okay.
I'm listening.
Okay.
we advertise for a public hearing.
Yes, and so there's a public hearing with all the notifications that need to happen for a public hearing. We have the public hearing and we make the decision here, move forward or not. Then I have 10 days to get this, whatever the ordinance change is, to the commissioners and certified to the commissioners. Then it is in their hands to act upon it. Now, this is where, are we, as a county, under normal operations, or are we in an alternate operations in which it depends on, if we're in a normal process that sets for 90 days, we then, and the commissioners do not act upon it, nothing happens and it's dead. But if we're in the alternate process and it sets for 90 days, then it passes. This is my understanding, and I could be completely wrong on that last part. The best thing is the commissioners act on it within 90 days, one way or the other, and we're all good. But as I understand it, there's a normal process and an alternate process. And I have no idea what our county's under.
I don't know either.
I've been under the impression that if it's not acted on by the commissioners in 90 days, then it becomes official.
And it's what?
Then it becomes official based on what we recommended. Have I seen that in writing? No. Have I heard that procedure? Yes.
Me too.
So how do we find that out? Council Lickfield?
I'll have to look into it.
Okay,
That does not seem to make sense to me, but I'll look into it and see.
okay.
And I have no problem not making sense. I'm just bringing something up.
Okay.
And the reason I say it doesn't make sense is in county government, the commissioners are the legislative body. They're the ones who have to pass the legislation. A board cannot pass legislation under basic government setup. So basically what we're saying is if they don't act, then this body has become the legislative body. That does not seem to,
Doesn't seem correct, does it? Does not seem correct that we would become the legislative body.
right. It doesn't, it goes against the basic structure of county government. That's why I believe the commissioners have to act on it for it to become a valid law.
And the BZA is a quasi judicial, which they do not require the commissioner's action, correct?
On what they do, yes, that's true.
Or we're a recommending body.
What were the two different states? Alternative state? Or what did you say?
The terminology I used is a normal state
Normal
and then an alternative.
alternative state. What does an alternative state? I mean, is there,
An alternative process, right? There's a normal process and an alternative process. On this whole 90 days without the commissioners acting. There's certainly verbiage in Indiana state law that discusses it, and it is complex. And I may have those reversed, or I may have the terminology as far as normal and alternative incorrect, but there's certainly verbiage in there that discusses that. And I understand where we've been getting that from. It's in there,
I could
but it
possibly,
takes an expert to interpret it for us.
I could possibly see it if like you had three commissioners, if two of them were incapacitated or couldn't make decisions, or one wouldn't be a majority, they may not be able to make a ruling.
And that might apply.
Might be what the alternative state is. And they're not capable or not able to.
Well, the normal state is still, it ends up with a decision without a vote.
It's a pocket, it's like a pocket veto.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's essentially a pocket veto.
The best way forward is the commissioners act on it.
Which they have been historically. They react to what we send them. So hopefully this is just academic.
Yes.
Oh, I don't think there's any problem with that at all.
Yeah.
Just let's do it the correct way, get it to them and be done with it.
Okay. Do you want to bring some closure to this at some point, David, by looking into it, or you just want us to decide that we're going to work with the commissioner approval process?
I will look into it, but I would be very surprised if there is any legislation anywhere which allows for ordinances to be passed without going through the commissioners and then actually approving them at public hearings. I would be very surprised
Okay.
if that was the case.
All right, so we will table old business items 5.1 and 5.2
Till next meeting.
till the next meeting, which we will get them properly advertised and all the procedures necessary in order to do this at the next meeting.
I'm sorry, could you just remind me what 5.2 is about? Just like 15 seconds. As no one is the flood damage.
Right.
That was to change the minor variance approval by the executive director.
Yeah. It was a very small verbiage and that was kind of before me and.
Thank you.
Which that
It's
came
the
out
exact
of,
same procedure. We're making a recommendation of a change to the area-wide zoning ordinance. We need to get it to them within the 10-day period, which will happen.
and it will mirror the same request by the BZA.
Correct.
Yes, okay. And because it has to happen with both bodies at this point for it to be effective for the BZA. Okay. All right, we will move to item 6, reports, resolutions, communications, and general discussion. Mr. Glickfield.
We did have a legal case where we're currently in court. I do believe that's going to actually get resolved as the individual's reached out to me and wants to resolve it. Unfortunately, we lost our code enforcement officer, so potentially I lost a witness. So I instructed Mr. Glancy, if we do need to court, for him to familiarize himself, which he would do, but I think it will ultimately get resolved. Secondly, the solar ordinance that we have sent on to the commissioners, their attorneys in the process of getting the language so it would be in true ordinance form. And then they will be acting on that as soon as he gets that done. I've emailed him a draft copy of it so he can alter it himself. And then I believe the commissioners are going to go ahead and put that on their website so the public can see that also.
I actually attended the commissioners' meeting today, and I expressed my concerns in regard to the timeline that we're under with that. And Mr. Sullivan indicated that it would be on the next commissioner meeting agenda. And he indicated that he had scheduled a public hearing to occur at that meeting with the commissioners, with Mr. Sadoff. And at that point, then it would come to us for us to have to certify again back to them.
I don't know why that would happen.
I'm going to encourage you, Mr. Glickfield, to maybe.
Yeah, he and I are in contact about it.
Yeah, I think I would, after today's discussion, I know that I had some discussion with somebody and we were uncertain as to whether the procedure that was stated is truly the procedure that needs to follow. So I would ask that maybe you have some discussion with Mr. Sullivan to see if we can't
I will.
get on the same page. Okay.
I will do it.
Anything else, Mr. Glickfield?
No, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Glancy?
I did not prepare anything.
Well, you've been a busy guy.
Yeah, it's been a little busy. But things are going well. I think, attitude and so on in the office is good. Handling the calls and permits. I really want to get to where I'm giving you where we're at on permits as far as how many are coming in, how many are going out, how many are being closed. I think you know, Randy Berryhill's doing a fantastic job of keeping all that up. There's no, you know, huge backlog of permits that are not closed. That's,
Via inspections.
yes,
Okay.
yeah. Talking about inspections. And then code enforcement, we've, you know, we're going to move forward on that.
Okay.
There are some big issues out there that we need to investigate, do some investigations on.
Sure.
Okay. All the permitting is correct.
Okay. Question, commission members, are we okay with the email process of meeting information that we tested this time around, or are we in need of the physical packets to be mailed? And I think that Belinda and Todd would be willing to mail anybody one who wants one, if that would be your request. I mean, with it being email, that requires some efforts on your parts in order to have the ability to access that email and to print that document if you wanted that document prior to the meeting, which there would be a hard copy as there was tonight for you at the meeting.
I'm good with email as long as we get the hard copies when we're here, because it's nice to have it directly in front of us here.
Me too. I can pull up my computer and put my notes on it. Start bringing mine in tonight.
Well, you don't need to mail it, just have it here.
Oh, yeah.
Like everyone else is saying.
So I guess, is anyone requesting a hard copy other than me? 'Cause I want to make notes before, I don't want to be making them here. I'd like to make notes on the meeting before we get here. So is there anyone else requesting a hard copy besides myself? Okay. Do we need action on that, or are we just okay with that understanding?
What?
Do we need an action on that, or are we? Okay.
That's just your,
Okay, that's just my take on it. Okay, commission members, any other discussion or questions before we move to public input and comment?
I am just curious, he mentioned permits. What's the, when you inspect a site and you see, okay, they're not done, they're not ready for final inspection, what's the time frame that you consider that like resolved, or your office has, is it, how soon are you inspecting again, is your goal? 90 days, 180 days?
I
Like,
think there's 180 days is the longest.
is that kind of your goal, that you consider something kind of resolved, or?
Yeah,
If it's been
at 180 days, we're getting flags, right, in their email. The system that was set up before, and I think that system is set up fairly well, right? To be able to call things out and within that geo system that we have.
Okay. Great.
But then
So everything should be.
what we've been able to do with that software since then, it's pretty difficult. I think that was set up well at the very beginning when we had the support from the company. And now, as I understand, I have 2 hours of, and I believe it's for the whole county, there's 2 hours of service available for that software that we can get.
In
So-
service training type.
Yeah, training and I don't want to just gobble up the whole 2 hours for the whole county. And there's other offices that use it, and then trying to coordinate this whole thing, you know, throughout the other offices. I don't know who's got it shouldn't be the first guy gets there. It should be in some kind of priority in my mind. Or the software should be easy enough that we can manipulate it ourselves and build it. But it's working, is what the bottom line is it's working, and we're getting notifications and the permitting process.
So in theory, if there's an open permit, someone's looking at it twice a year or more.
Yeah, well,
Great.
I think it's 180 days at the longest. It pops up on an email for Randy Berryhill,
Love it.
and I get it too.
Thank you.
I don't know. He's doing them all. So
Other questions?
a well-built system.
Other question, commission members, for Mr. Clancy or Mr. Glickfield? Okay, we'll move to item 7, public input. Comment? Any from the public like to speak? Do we have a sign-up sheet?
No.
I'll put a piece of paper up there.
You know, I'm on video and you all know who I am. For the record, Michael Duke, Grant County resident, East Bradford Pike.
All in procedure. Thank you.
The comment I want to make is from relation to the solar ordinance amendment that was discussed a few moments ago that's going to be going to the commissioners. I heard Mr. Glickfield say that he was going to work with the commissioner's attorney to post the document on the Grant County website. I don't know how all involved that is, but to me, that's a very critical document, as crucial of an issue as the solar ordinance was.
Actually, President Middlesworth told me that.
Okay.
Shades of what I said.
Okay, fair enough. Just the same.
He agrees with you.
As long as it gets there and it's available for the public to look at. One, I would like to encourage the public to give that a good once over. And as, like I said, I was saying, it's as critical of an issue as it has been to our county, to our residents, and all the sweat and blood that went into that over the past year and a half, 2 years or more. It's the skeptic in me that says, knowing that there is a process that is going on in putting the language of the document that was approved and voted on and approved with favorable recommendation by the APC a couple, 3 weeks ago, that's being put into another form. I would just encourage that we all take effort to ensure that when it goes into this new form, that it is the same words, the same structure, the same, and I'm cognizant that a comma here or a semicolon there can change the entire meaning of a passage or of a subject. So I would just encourage the citizens that.
I don't think there's going to be any substantive changes.
I'm just saying that I would like the public to be assured, the citizens to be assured that it's what is being voted on by the commissioners is what was the same as voted on and with favorable recommendation by the APC.
I think all he's doing is adding the whereas clause to explain what the ordinance is and then the now therefore be ordained language, which we didn't have. I think that's all that he's adding.
Well, that and that's understood, and that's what I would expect. But in that, it's going to be in a document. I would like to be assured that the document that's being voted on by the commissioners is the same language as voted on by the APC.
So,
and I know I'm sounding skeptical and very cautious there. I'm not suggesting anything negative, but I'm just that there be a QA.
To assure that happens, I'm sending him the ordinance that's been passed here in format, and just when the commissioner meeting comes, ask him if he changed any of it. And I think hopefully the answer will be no.
And Michael, I didn't get the impression from today's commission meeting based on Connor Sullivan's comments that he was going to make any changes. He was.
I'm just being thorough. Yeah, I've work I've done in the past when you put a document to bed and it goes presentation to, be it a proposal, be it a legal document, is that there's a QA that happens that assures that it's in the proper form and the proper structure.
And if that did occur, it would have to come back to the APC for review again and approval. I'm not getting the feeling that that's what the commissioner's interest is.
Good. Just
thank you.
Posing the question out there, as Mr. Clancy would say, for discussion, consideration, for people to be aware of that.
Sure.
And to the people that are listening as well. I'm sure there are a few folks that are going to want to look at that document and read through it. So
sure,
there's opportunity for that kind of input from several corners.
And if it's truly a public hearing, that information will have to be given before the public hearing.
Correct.
We have an opportunity in that public hearing at the commissioners meeting to
absolutely
make comments.
That's a public hearing, yes.
Right. Yes.
Very good. Just for awareness.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else in the audience?
I think I'm going to help her answer some of your questions that she had earlier.
So again, my name is Brian Harris, basically, and my company is BKH Homes, at least one of them is. And I do, presently, I think I got 4 building permits out right now. But the question you'd asked basically is, there was one time where we did a kitchen job on this lady's house, and I didn't realize that I had forgotten to get the final, I guess is what you would call it, the occupancy permit. And your computer must have generated something, because you guys basically come out and you post a little thing, because nobody was there, to say, hey, you need to call in for this, basically. So the answer is that the system is actually working pretty good. And I would just like to say that the people working upstairs, they're doing a great job as far as getting the permits and the information needed, basically, from us contractors. I've worked in Sweetser, Swayze. I've worked in a lot down in Taylor University area down there in Upland now, all over the different areas of your county, basically. And it just seems to be, you guys are, the system you have now basically is working a lot better than what you previously had.
Great.
Just wanted y'all to know that.
We'll take those positive comments.
Yes. Any more positive comments?
That's all I ask.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other community members? Todd, a question for you. I've been asked a couple times to see if we can put the agenda for these meetings on the website. Is that something that we can do from our office, or does that require?
Yeah, I can do it. It's, yeah, I've been on there and yeah.
Is there anyone?
I need to do it more often.
Is there anyone else in the office have access to it? I'm looking at Belinda.
She's looking at you.
It would be, I think it should be something that we should be able to delegate out, in my opinion, to some other of the staff. But at this point.
And the only reason I'm bringing that up because is on several occasions I've been asked, why isn't the agenda on the website?
It's very
I would
outdated.
like to know whether I need to come or not come. And I keep saying, we're going to get it there.
How many people?
At least 3
Okay.
people
Okay.
have approached me about that. One person repeatedly. So
Okay.
we can count them a lot of times.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, since I hadn't heard anything, and then I'll go out to the public here, if I don't hear anything, no one's paying attention to it, all right? And so it kind of lowers in my priority level of being able to get things done. I know it's there. I went to it a lot, but
Do other
if
bodies
people aren't, if I'm not getting some feedback that no one's looking at it, then I'm thinking it's so
do
old.
other bodies post their agendas on their websites? Council, commissioners?
Yeah, there's a
Health
couple of
boards.
ones. I can't swear it's on the Grant County website. I would bet it is though.
Yeah, we should, it's very doable.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it. I appreciate the feedback.
The Marion Common Council puts their agenda on the website. In fact, they do something a little more extensive than just one sentence or one line. They include an executive summary of what that particular docket item or ordinance issue or resolution is about. That gives the public a little more information so that it's a little more explanatory than just a code and a number of an ordinance or section.
We'll just start with the agenda as we see it and maybe move forward. Okay, any other?
Can I ask one more question?
You gotta be quick, Michael. We want to get out of here. These people got their stuff folded up.
Given that this is the authority and the influence on planning issues, would it be appropriate for the council to have any, or the board to have any discussion about Senate Bill 425? I understand that as of this evening, about 5:30, no updates have been made to the Indiana governing website about any action being taken by the governor. So it apparently is still sitting there with some consideration on not knowing what it is, but I'd offer that as a throw a subject out there if anybody would want to discuss that. It
Thank
seemed
you.
appropriate to me.
Thank you. All right, we will entertain adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion from Karen Poland. Do we have a second?
Sure.
Second from Jerry Cottle. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you, guys. Thank you, ladies. We'll do it again in June.
Well, if you get your hard copy before the meeting.